And let me know, is my sound okay?
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Magnetic Woman Show. I am your host, Lauren Joyce, and I'm so excited today to be joined by Jennifer Donovan, who's a psychic business coach, strategist, and wealth activator. She helps coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs activate their millionaire frequency and step into their overflow era where wealth flows and business feels like magic and life feels utterly limitless. And she has this most perfect, potent blend of strategy, energetics, subconscious reprogramming, and she guides high level women to break through income barriers without sacrificing freedom, family, or fulfillment. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to dive in with you. But why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and how you got to be a psychic business coach?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So what started for me was back in 2017. My husband and I were like financially struggling massively. We were about to lose our home. We were in $30,000 in debt, 20,000 of that in credit card debt. And I mean, it was to the point where I was like, okay, we can feed the kids, but this meal we won't eat. And we were trying to, navigate that, and things were really rough. And I had at that point, I was like, how do I, everyone was like, money mindset, change your mindset. And so I was like, okay, how do I change my mindset? And I started to Google, how do you change your mindset?
Yeah.
I discovered The Secret,
Mm.
and that led me down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
of manifestation and shifting your mindset, things like that, and your subconscious reprogramming. And around the same time, I was also suffering from PTSD from my son's birth that had been 5 years prior, but it wasn't until I was a stay-at-home mom during that time. So I was like, okay, well, this is just normal first time mom feelings.
Wow.
And then when he was going to go into kindergarten, he didn't get into the after school program. And I lost it. And I was like shaking, hysterically crying. And I was like, this is not normal. So
Yeah.
I went and, sure enough, had PTSD. And, I was talking with some friends and they were like, hey, you should really check out energy healing for this. There's
Mm.
something called the emotion code.
Ooh, yep.
It was created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And that just started my dive into being able to heal things within the body that were from trapped emotions, not just a mindset
Right.
aspect. Um, and I went into a healer. Well, I, paid $80, walked out, and I was like, I feel nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, there was no change.
Yes.
And 2 weeks later, there was another situation that happened. We were trying to find daycare for my son, and a situation happened, and it just rolled right off my back. And I was just like, okay, no big deal. We'll find something new. And I was like, whoa, who is this chick? That this is not how I normally would have responded.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, something's here.
Yeah.
Something is here. For me to go from like nervous breakdown
Yeah.
to like totally okay within 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, let's dive into this. And so I dove into the world of energy healing, um, started working on, Reiki attuned, Katawa attuned, I got in motion code certified, body code certified, like all of these different modalities.
Yep.
And during that time, I was like, I wonder if this could work on money.
Ooh. Yes. Tell
Yeah.
me
I was
more.
like, I wonder if this could work on money. And so I started to use the different healing modalities
Yeah.
on money.
Yep.
And and it was I set the intention to have a zero balance on my credit card
Yep.
by the end of 2018. So this was still 2017. It
Okay.
was December of 2017.
Okay.
And I was just like, okay, well, let's see, let's pay it off. Oh, I want to have a zero balance, right?
Yeah.
Within 3 days, we had $40,000 an opportunity for $40,000 come in. Paid off my debt, paid off other, like
Yep.
everything. I was
Yep.
like, oh, I was like, I've got something here.
Yep.
And that really started to catapult. And I was like, so I started to just like help friends and family, and I was loving it. And then at the time, I had went back to teaching. I was a
Okay.
teacher for 16 years,
Yep.
and I was teaching kindergartners. And I had a couple babies who were just had the most rough home life. And it was the week that I had a student who was thrown from a moving vehicle on the freeway, and another student who walked in on his dad overdosing on heroin.
Oh my gosh.
And like I'm still picturing like that moment. And I was in my classroom and I just had tears streaming down my face. And I was like, there's no way I can truly help these babies
Yep.
if their home life
Yep.
is not good.
Yeah.
And who really is the structure within the home life is the women,
Yep.
the moms, the grandmas, the aunties,
Yep.
whoever is caretaking for them, it's the moms. And if they can be happy,
Yep.
healthy, and wealthy,
Yes.
whoo,
Yeah.
man, can we transform these children's lives and then create this just massive ripple effect.
Beautiful.
So that's where I started, where I was like, I want to help women transform their mind, their body, their entire being
Yeah.
with wealth and money. And from there, I started to develop my psychic gifts, and I would be doing energy healing sessions, and I would start saying things, and it was like, oh, well, yeah, that's right. And I just started building my psychic gifts, and
Yeah.
then when I started merging, I also have a degree in business, and I have a offline business for 16 years now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my marketing degree, my marketing experience, my psychic abilities, my energy healing, we're smashing
All
them
together.
together
Oh, it's
to
amazing.
help women make fuck tons of money.
Ugh. I I love this so much. And it's so, if you've been in the online space for a while, like I've been in the online space for about a decade now, and there has been a lot of talk around money mindset, money energetics, and in some ways it can become a little like, yeah, okay, I get it. I've done it. I've taken the courses, I've done the journaling, I've read the books. And I think it's really important for us to remember as women in 2026, here in the United States especially, like it was only in the last 50 years that we've been able to have access to our own credit cards, access to business loans. And with that, like, that's amazing. And I would venture to guess, and I really would love to hear your perspective on this. We as women also hold a lot of trauma and a lot of really dense, heavy energy around money because we weren't allowed to have our own. We weren't allowed to be sovereign with money for the last 2000 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just, being sovereign with money, but it comes to also the pathways in which money come in. It's
Yeah.
like don't be too bold, don't be too loud, don't be too intense, don't be
Mm.
too
Mm.
fill in the blank. And then so we're constantly as women told to dim our light, to fit into this mold that we're supposed to be. And so pair that with the trauma for money. And, when we look at it from a spiritual lens, we actually inherit the DNA and the energies of our ancestors. So the
Yep.
ancestors who could not own a home, who
Yep.
could not open a bank account.
Yep.
And that literally the things that happened to our ancestors. Think about like even in the Great Depression,
Right.
if you had an ancestor that was not wealthy in the Great Depression and was, feast or famine,
Yep.
that scarcity and lack and deep fear goes down the lineage.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
when women will come to me and they'll be like, I don't know, I'm doing everything that I should be doing. I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the sales calls, I'm doing this, I'm
Yep.
doing that. and I'm still not hitting it. And as soon as I then tune in, I'm like, well, duh, here's why. Because
Yeah.
we can only mindset ourselves to what we already know.
Yes.
And how long are we going to journal to find out our unconscious? But you're
Right?
never going to be like, my grandmother 12 generations back,
Yep.
was beat whenever she asked for something. And that's now
Yeah.
I'm
Live
replicating
within
that.
me. Yep.
Yep. And it's living within them. And they're like, oh, that's why when I go to say my new price, I like choke up. Yeah, exactly. And so, there's a lot of those things where it's not just strategy, it's not mindset. We want to be able to look at all aspects of that so that
Absolutely.
they can have a thriving, successful business.
Absolutely. And I think that, we again, consciously we know that a lot is passed down and that epigeneticists have shown, I've heard 5 generations, I've heard 7 generations, and it's like, yeah, there's more than 7 generations in our lineage of women who were beat, held hostage, sold into marriages, forced into marriages, like were punished, were exiled, were all of the things. And that's why I always say to the women that I work with, the women in my communities, like, your I call them the 7 core wounds of the feminine, but it's like you we get to a point in our personal development where you can tell me your childhood wounding like till the cows come home. Like you've done it, we know it, la la la. And again, it's like, why am I still coming up against this? And it's like, because we are the women who are actually healing and changing, like
Mhm.
backwards and forwards. Like we can only change for future generations if we're also healing these
Mhm.
wounds that we have unconsciously or unbeknownst to us carried on in our lineage, carried on in our bodies, carried on in our energetic blueprint in how we approach business and money.
Absolutely. And it comes from the men in our lives as well.
Yeah.
Because, when I see this often, and I've seen all the way back to 200 generations, where
Wow.
it's like, whoa, we're going way back. But I've seen it
Yeah.
even where, the men so many generations back had a lot of money and then lost it.
Hmm.
So or
Yeah.
they had a lot of money and something bad happens and so they associate it and now it
Yeah.
trickles down. And it's,
Yeah.
the craziest things that can happen with it and it's not just what they can think it.
That's so true. And one thing I've been so interested in over the last few years has been ancestral work, specifically as it's tied to spirituality. So for me personally, I grew up Catholic. I went through 10 years of Catholic school. My spiritual journey over the last 10 years has been deconditioning organized religion and then returning to what I call the sacred feminine. So pre-Christian practices, rituals that are found within my lineage, right? So like Southern
Mhm.
Italian and Celtic mainly. And I think that when we think of ancestral healing, we don't think of money. We don't think of wealth energetics. We think of like relationship trauma or like relational dynamics and relational trauma. We think of body trauma. We think of spirituality, but we often don't think about ancestral healing or like healing via your ancestral lineage for money and wealth
Mhm.
energetics.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not something that is commonly talked about.
Mhm.
And but it all makes sense and it
Right.
all ties, right? So like there have been times where, we're working on money and especially with women, like, okay, we're working on money and you have an online business. So
Yeah.
you're having to speak your prices.
Uh-huh.
So the avenue of the money, right? It's like, oh, well, your grandmother, you know, 10 generations back she was told to shut up and be quiet, and now
Yeah.
you have no voice, right? So
Right.
getting online and speaking your truth is
Terrifying.
incredibly exact. And but because we have businesses and the pathway and our gifts,
Yeah.
or how we make the money. It's like we all want to look at it. I cannot tell you how many women will come to me, to make more money, to have more clients, and
Yeah.
they have sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Or not even them, but like even their
Oh,
ancestors,
definitely.
and it's like, and then when we clear it, it's like, oh my gosh, this huge weight has been lifted on that I didn't even realize I was carrying. And
Right.
then next thing you know, they're going viral, they're having their best month because it all intertwines.
Well, and yes, I mean, sex and money is so deeply intertwined, especially for women, right? Because one, it it overlaps at a sense of worthiness,
Mhm.
right? So like being worthy enough, in quotations, for money. And then when it comes to sexual trauma, your sense of worth and
Mhm.
worthiness is um called into question by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That is something
absolutely.
that comes up. And then the other layer of it is for thousands of years, at least the last 2000 years will be conservative in that our ability to have money was tied to marriage.
Yep.
And the notion with patriarchal marriage, like heterosexual marriage under the patriarchy, is a woman being constantly sexually available because
Hmm.
men have needs. And so your survival physically, financially is dependent often on probably
Absolutely.
you being sexually assaulted. I mean, it wasn't until the
Absolutely.
90s that spousal rape was outlawed.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, of course, it's all intertwined there. It makes so much sense. So much sense.
And
I,
it's just amazing how much, because it's not even just, you've got the ancestral and
yeah,
then you've got the past life. But
yes.
then you even have, even in this life, like there have been so many times where I'll tune into somebody and I'm like, oh, you were betrayed. Like I can immediately say, like, you were betrayed at age 10, or 20 or whatever by the and I'll give, and I'm like, that's why you're not letting money in, because you've closed your heart. And so clients can't come to you because, and these women are already making, multiple six, seven, eight
Totally.
figures, and it's like, but that's not why you're not making more,
Yeah.
because someone hurt you and now you don't feel safe to open up,
Yeah. Oh my God, I
you
love
know?
that. I want to talk about wealth energetics and
Hmm.
more specifically, moving from a sense of survival
Hmm.
into a sense of like thriving and overflow because I think so many of us get caught up in survival energy, but also this like needing to suffer, it needing to be hard, needing to prove myself by what I can overcome. And we get caught in that loop
Hmm.
instead of being in what is, in my perspective, and I would love your thoughts, a completely separate, different loop
Absolutely.
of wealth overflow, you know, letting things get better and better and better. And that's not to say that you'll never experience pain, heartbreak, hardship, like that
Right.
life isn't gonna life for you. But the way I envision it, and I would really love your perspective on this, is kind of like two different loops, right? And it's
Yeah, it's almost like it's more like a Venn diagram,
okay, yeah,
where it's like a loop here, a loop here, a loop here, and then they have intersecting
okay,
aspects. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yes,
So when we look at that with the wealth energetics, and when we are in that survival mode, right, there's
yep,
a lot that goes into it, not just lack, scarcity, but there is fear.
yes,
And a lot of times the fear boils down to not trusting yourself, because especially as
yeah,
women,
yep,
we have been trained
yep,
even at a young, like, baby stage, like think toddler, where it's like uh getting into the bath. This water's too hot. No, it's not. Get in. This broccoli is yucky. No, it's not. It's good for you. Eat it. And so we are trained constantly to bypass our own intuition, our inner knowing, our own thoughts and feelings. And we lose complete trust in ourselves. So
Yeah.
when we go into this survival, we no longer, but when we get into the survival, we don't trust that we can handle it, that we can overcome it,
Mm.
that we can do something about it. We don't trust, if we don't trust ourselves, we won't trust the universe, right? And if we don't trust the universe, we won't trust ourselves,
Yeah.
and if you say God, you can use
Right.
God,
Right.
interchangeable. But it all boils down to that trust
Oof.
and the belief in self. And, a lot of times we are looking for that belief outside of us and
Yeah.
for other people and other things to prove that we are good enough, that we are worthy, that we are smart enough, that we can handle it, that we can do that, we fill in the blank, right?
Yep.
However, like for me, it was I had to believe in myself so much that I didn't need anybody else to believe in me. And
You,
it,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was the first person in my family
Yeah.
to own a business, to start
Yeah.
a business. I was like, my parents thought I was absolutely batshit crazy when I
Yeah.
was like, I'm leaving teaching and I am going to go full time in my business.
Yeah.
And I already had a second business that my husband and I run together. So it's like, I'm not new to this,
Yeah. Of
but they thought I was crazy.
course.
And I was like, no, I'm doing it. I believe in myself. I don't need you to
Uh,
believe it. And
uh,
so when you're
yeah.
getting going for, and that, so here's also when we talk about the actual energetics of it, are you familiar with David Hawkins' scale?
Remind me. It sounds really
So
familiar.
it's the vibrational scale. So
Oh,
it's
yes. Yeah.
emotions, every single emotion,
Mhm.
right? So it's energy and motion is emotion. They have a frequency. So everything vibrates.
Yeah.
That means every emotion you feel vibrates,
Yeah.
right? So shame is like 20. It
Yeah.
vibrates at a 20. Death is 0.
Oof.
So every time we shame ourselves,
Yeah.
fear,
Guilt.
right, guilt,
Guilt is
we're
another one.
literally
Yeah.
bringing our vibrational down.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar, there have been so many studies, but one of the really famous ones is now I'm gonna forget his name. It was the water experiment.
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
Yes,
yes. I think we
right?
remember the water experiment.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So where they played music and said words, and if it was a positive, happy,
Yeah.
they were beautiful water crystals.
Right.
Negative, they were distorted.
Yeah.
Um, well, our body is 80% water.
Yeah.
So when we feel those shames, when we feel the fear, when we feel all of those lower vibrational frequencies, we literally are turning our body into those. So then when we look at law of attraction, what do you think we are attracting when our bodies and the water is all crusted up, gross, deformed?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not our highest, wealthiest,
No.
happiest, healthiest self.
No.
And these emotions that vibrate at a lower frequency, the waves move slower, so they sit heavier in our body and they're harder to release. This is why it's really easy for you to be happy and it leave like this. And then something really bad to stick with you for days, months, years.
That's
It's
it.
because the frequency is so dense
Yeah.
that it's harder to move out.
Yeah.
And so when we look at that trust in self, it's a much higher frequency,
Yeah.
right? Which allows us to move out of that or excuse me, the fear, to move
Yes.
out of the
Shame. Yeah.
stuck,
The heavy
to
emotion.
move out of the survival mode
Right.
and into the thriving mode.
Yeah. And, I think that trust in self, belief in self it's a practice and um it's a lifelong practice, right? So like
Absolutely.
for me personally, I have realized recently so much of what you were saying. I was like, "Oh wow, I've really dropped this like unwavering belief that I like used to have in myself." And I don't
Mhm.
like to use the phrasing of like I used to have it, I don't have it anymore. So I always say like I disconnected. It kind of feels like a
Mhm.
plug that
Absolutely.
disconnected.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, it makes sense. I went through a horrible breakup that then I realized like, oh, that relationship was toxic and he is a narcissist. Okay, great. And then went through like a huge dark night of the soul in my business. And I'm like, oh. of course, I started to doubt myself. I made all these stories, right? Or ma made all this meaning about things that were happening. And for me, I realized recently, I was like, oh, I haven't been trusting myself like in this unwavering way. Okay, great. Not even that I have to like, that you have to build the muscle back up, but it's just that reminder of like, oh, okay, you fall off of it, something happens in your life, you disconnect, and you just get to come back to it, right?
You
Like
get to plug it back in.
yeah, like that simple. Instead of making it this whole thing of like, now I need to go through years of therapy. It's like,
No,
no, I know
no.
how to trust myself. I built up so much of it, and now I just get to like come back to it. And I think, but I say all of that to say, I think sometimes, especially when it comes to money, and I would love your thoughts on this, we can have kind of like an all or nothing perfectionist mentality. I call it like the video game arrival mentality as well. Like once I get there, whatever that level is, then I'll be good. I'll never have to worry about it. I'll never doubt myself again. I'll never fall off. I'll never like go into shame around money. And if I can just get to that perfect state and place, I'll be good.
Right.
And that's not true. Like,
Not at all. Well, and people forget that time is moving
yeah.
always. That means that we are moving always. So
Always.
there is never going to be a set point where you are like, I'm done.
So good.
Like there's
Yeah.
there's a there's always because once you get there, you're
Yeah.
gonna now see a whole new like
Yes.
so many more options are
Right.
opening up to you. What you never imagined before because you didn't think it was possible, you didn't even know what it could look like.
Yeah.
And once you reach that level of wealth, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, you mean I could open up an animal sanctuary? I could do this with my money. I can help, you know, this cause or these people with my money.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to make more. Well,
Yeah.
now I want to start a nonprofit. And now you have opened up to so many more opportunities. And it's like, if we go back to your game analogy, it's like
Yeah.
every level has bonus levels that now you can play,
Hmm.
right? And hidden secret gems that you can go find, and,
Yeah.
like these secret codes you can use. And so it's like there's always more that you're
Yeah.
going to want to experience.
Yeah.
And what people will, they will kind of go negative on themselves. It's like, I have to get to this level. And once I get there, they're like, wait a second, I'm not happy.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And when they realize that it's okay to
Yeah.
want more and it's okay to always want more,
Yep.
it's the journey that we want to be happy with.
Yeah.
It's the when we have our money, we want to look and have our family and friends right beside us.
Yes.
Not be so in the masculine of work, work, work and forget everything else. We
Uh-huh.
want to do it where like we get there and we're still healthy and
Yep.
we don't have all of a sudden, we're so burnt out, we have diseases and ailments and, we crash. When I speak about we want to be wealth
Yeah.
or happiness and health comes along right with it because there's no
Absolutely.
point to the wealth if you're miserable and you're
Absolutely.
on your deathbed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, like we're at a point, and this is why I'm hosting the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution, which you are one of the incredible women who is
I'm so
participating. So
excited.
it's so, so good. I mean, all of the content is just mind-blowing. So if you haven't signed up for the event yet, make sure to do so down below. It's March 20th through 27th. It's completely free. Not only do we have incredible content from 15 like world-renowned thought leaders, but we're also doing live rituals, practices, community calls because this is about cultivating a movement. It's about cultivating a community of women who are embodied in their feminine leadership and creating wealth. And I think like I use the word feminine because and I just recently did a podcast episode with Dr. Kimberly Pendleton, and
I
we
love
were
her.
talking, I know she's amazing, and we were talking about how the word feminine has been co-opted by like the
Mhm.
alt-right, trad wives, and it's really been tarnished, right? It's really been it's become this label for something that is not accurate. And so I went through this period over the last 2 years in my business dark night of the soul where I was like, do I keep using this word feminine? Like it's resonant to me, but what I know to be the true feminine, which is sovereign, is not what everybody else is out there blabbing about. So like what do
Mhm.
I, and I was like, wait, if I don't keep using the word feminine to also include our righteous rage, our fire, our sovereignty, our wild feral nature to combat and counteract the fact that people are saying the feminine's submissive when she is not, like then people are only going to get that information. They're going to miss all of this, right? And
Mhm.
with that, I talk about feminine wealth. And feminine wealth to me is women having wealth, happiness, spaciousness, being spiritually grounded, like being coming to a space of overflow
Absolutely.
in every area of their life. And with that, and I would love your perspective on this, how we view money and how we make money, I think is utterly changing. Not
Mhm.
just given like the online space, but what we're quote unquote willing to do for money. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
think we're in this transitional period where we're like, oh, yeah, the capitalistic lie of like work yourself to retirement and then hopefully you don't die right away. It's like
Yeah.
not good.
Oh, 100%. Well, and it's amazing because when we look at this as like, okay, even as business owners, the typical, masculine,
Yeah,
and I say masculine because we have a lot of also females who
right.
are operating out of the masculine. When we look, in my opinion, the feminine, right? Like, if I'm a feminine CEO, that means that my employees are paid well,
Yes. Yes.
right? Profit sharing,
Yes.
right? Like there's so much within companies that need to be changed and transformed
Yeah.
because with the feminine, we link arms. We
Yeah.
all rise together. We're a
Yeah.
sisterhood, right? Like it's community,
Yes.
it's a village.
Yes.
Males, they're good on their own.
Yeah.
They can be the solos, head of the CEO, making the big. We want to be in community as women.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like really like, how can we not only make more money, but then also create environments where other women can make more money? They can rise up. And we
Yeah.
set the tone
Yeah.
and we set the example of here is how we can run a feminine business and still be profitable
Yeah.
and still like pay all of our expenses and
Yeah.
still have longevity and
Yeah.
stability,
Yes.
right? Because that's where, women in business that it's been viewed as
Yeah.
unstable, right? Just
Yeah.
like we're always called as women, like, you're too emotional. You're,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no. Who has more domestic violence and
Oh,
more,
please. Yeah.
road rage?
Oh my God.
Not the
Yeah.
women.
Right. Right. Well, and I also find that like markers of quote unquote stability as so funny because it's
Yes.
like there is no static nature in life or in nature. And again, I've been running my business for about a decade now, and the last 2 years have been this like dark night of the soul. And if you would have told me when I started like that would happen, one, I just wouldn't have believed you because I would have been like, no, it's a math equation. Like you do the work and then you get the return and it's just constant this and it's like I think feminine business, feminine leadership, feminine wealth is also about allowing the humanness. And so while there might be not I don't even want to call it instability, right? But like allowing yourself to go through different cycles. Like there are
Oh my gosh.
cycles of rapid growth, right?
Yeah.
And then there are cycles of contraction, of reorganizing, of burning things to the ground, not to mention like what's happening for people on a relational level. Like maybe you lose somebody or you become a mother. Like and and what we want, how we define success, and even to a degree, how we define wealth is gonna look different in each of these different cycles
Oh,
and phases.
absolutely. And when we look at the difference between the female and the male, right?
Yeah.
So we have like one thing that do you remember like Hormozy's big launch that he did for
Yeah, excuse
his
me while
whatever.
I roll my eyes at any word.
Yes.
Continue.
And a male has his cycle, it resets every 24 hours,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right? I saw his 100, and I was like, oh my God, I want to vomit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, this is horrible
Yeah.
for a woman. Like,
Well,
when is she taking off because she has her period? What is she
100%.
doing? What is she doing when her daughter or her kid, her baby is
Yeah.
like needing to cluster feed and
Exactly. Like all these male entrepreneurs are like, get up at 4 a.m. and do like 3 hours of inner work. Yeah, bitch, who's taking care of your kids? Your fucking wife. Like it's not the same. It's not even that it's not the same playbook. It's not the same fucking universe.
no.
And that's why it's like we get to throw all of these rule books that these like white brotastic men have given us. And we're like, yeah, not only does that feel like shit, it hurts everybody around you. Like you're
Yeah.
the only one benefiting. And
Yeah.
that's not how we want to live. That's not how we're built to live.
Right. Well, and then it's I did not start this business to just hustle, grind,
Yes.
and then come out from the business and have no one left.
Yeah.
Like I started my business. Yes, I want to help people,
Yeah, of
but I
course.
also want to I want to enjoy my life. Here's
Yes.
the thing. And here's what's funny. So I talk with my clients a lot about this is like you have to remember that we are all frequency.
Yeah.
And if you hate your life, if you're miserable, if you can't stand your business, if you are unhappy, your frequency is being sent out, and that is what you
Yeah.
are attracting back to you. So you have to
Totally.
have a business that supports your life,
Yep.
right? Like I always say, like my business revolves around my life, not the other way around.
I love
So
that. Yeah.
I have adjusted my life. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old.
Okay.
I've got football and baseball
Ah,
practice and dance practice and soccer. I've got, we're
yeah.
booked every. So what do? I adjust my client offering so that
Yes.
way I can, while I'm sitting at practice doing nothing, I can be voxering my clients,
Yep.
right? Or while I'm, waiting for the game to start, I can respond or I can drop a thread or,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I'm making it so my business works around my life,
Yep.
which makes me happier because I get to be with my kids and my husband. I still get to have me time. And then
Totally.
then I am filled up and I get to support my clients,
Yeah.
which then they get better results and they're making more money. And then it just becomes this constant cycle of
Yeah.
happiness and bigger and better and overflow
Yeah.
because I chose to have my business
Yep.
revolve around my life.
I love that. And that shift is like simple but seismic, right?
Okay.
Because I think we're so many of us when we started our business, we're coming out of being good students, good workers, good employees, good, and you want to create this freedom. And again, there's kind of that like arrival mindset of like, well, let me just build like work really really hard so that at some point I can have freedom that I want, so at some point I can have the schedule that I want. And what a lot of people do, what I did, right, is like you build something that you end up resenting and not enjoying because you're like, I tried to make this the center of my life, not in a good way, not in like a devotional like my work is my mission in the world, blah blah blah, but in a like this is not helpful. This is not
Yeah.
helpful for anybody kind
Yeah.
of way.
Well, and I would, I don't, I guess I was fortunate in the aspect of I started my online business
Yeah.
after I had kids.
Yeah.
So, like my offline business, we had it before kids.
Right. Right.
However, my online business, I mean, that was solely me.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, okay, like I don't have the option to sit and spend 8 hours on a sales page.
Yeah.
Like, no, I've got babies who want to play, who, need to be taken care of. And there were many times where my kids were on my lap while I was doing a live stream, who interrupted a program. And I remember I was leading a program and my kids were outside playing. And this is at the time they were like 3 and 6.
Okay.
And you know what, that cry that you can hear? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm leading this program, we're live, and I can hear my daughter cry. And I know that's a oh shit cry, like something's wrong. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey guys, I hear my daughter crying. We're
Yeah.
gonna need to
I'm
pause
gonna
here.
pause.
So I go and I take, I take care of my daughter. She gets hurt. I pick her up. I bring her into the bathroom, and the bathroom was next to my office, and the door was open. And I can hear the women talking about, like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's showing us that, like, it's okay to do this. Because
Permission. Yeah.
all of these women had been running their business where it's like, hide the kids. Don't, like, if they're hurt, they got to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm cleaning my daughter up and I'm hearing them just like be like, this is amazing. And
Feel.
at that point, she's like glued to me, like,
Yeah.
koala to me. And so I come and I sit back down and she's wrapped around me and I'm holding her and I'm rubbing her back and I continue to finish the program.
Oh my God.
And
So,
after, like, the women, I got so many messages from them
yep.
just thanking me for showing them that it was okay
Yes.
and that not like they realized that, like, they were so afraid of being judged
Yes.
with doing it, and then when someone just did it and it
Yeah.
was like, oh wait, I actually am not judging her right now.
Exactly. And neither is anybody else.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly. And this is why more women need to hold more wealth and power.
Mhm.
Period.
Absolutely.
Jennifer, thank you so much. This was so amazing. So before we wrap up, is there anything left on your heart or anything kind of still, in your energy field that you want to share with the audience?
You know, with everything happening right now in the world
Yeah.
politically,
Yes.
um, make fuck tons of money so
Yes.
we can actually change. Just imagine if we could funnel the money into
Yes.
aid to Gaza,
Yes.
to supporting, things that, like, and not just, like the ones that you like, the causes you care about, like that we could freaking get this psycho out of the administration,
Seriously.
that we could put money into candidates that are really, really like
Yes.
for the good of the people.
Yes.
And because they can't spend all the money on advertising to get their name out,
Uh-huh.
that we can then support them, or we ourselves have the
Exactly.
money to do it, and that we can start putting people in places where they're making decisions, because I
Yes.
don't even like to say places of power, but
Yep.
places where they are making decisions that are affecting all of us. And we have the opportunity to do that if we allow ourselves to be rich. Fuck all the guys who
Yes.
are making all the money and making really shitty decisions and choices
Yes.
and hurting the world,
Yes.
the people, the animals, the planet.
Yes.
Let's put money into the hands
Yes.
of women so you can actually do good in the world. Like, if you, healers especially, like, will keep themselves broke and
Seriously.
poor
Yes.
because they think that it's better to do free or give away,
Hmm.
be so low so they can help. No, you're going to do so much more good
Yep.
if you make fuck tons of money.
A fucking men. We'll end it there. Nothing left to say other than go follow Jennifer on all of her social media because my goodness, be in this woman's world, in her energy. Like, seriously, we need all of us making as much fucking money as possible. And if you haven't signed up for the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution live event, please, please do so down below. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it on social media. Make sure to tag both of us. And thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. This was such a delight.
Thank you so much for having me, and I cannot wait for the summit.
Oh my goodness. All right, my loves, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and I will see you next time.